how to balance budget and quality when it comes to groceries. If you could pick 5 things to invest your time, energy, and money into your family's health, what would it be? And what are your staple foods you consistently have in your fridge or pantry and why? So it's been way too long since we did a video where we're just hanging out and we're going through the house. My house is trashed. I can't wait to show you. It is just trash because let me just tell you, I have a 2-month-old tomorrow. He turns 2 months tomorrow. I've tried to start homeschooling again. I have 6 kids and my husband has literally been sick with the flu for like a month. So we have been holding on what feels like by a thread and the house needs attention. So let's just take it back today. I've been going through the home reset by Naptime Kitchen. Kind of got my kitchen purged a little bit. But honestly, like last night I dreamt all night long about decluttering because that's how much I feel like I just want to like get stuff out of my home that does not belong here and like organize. So the baby's in the baby swing. It's very quiet right now. It will not be quiet like this very much longer. My boys are at a small little like baseball clinic. I have 2 older boys and a baby boy. And then my 3 girls who are 7, 5, and 2, Matt has them and took them to a park. Today is Valentine's Day when I'm filming this and he thought it'd be really sweet to just get them out of the house this morning and give me some quiet time. So it was really nice. I got to like sip my coffee for a second and nurse the baby in peace, but the peace will not be here much longer. So we're just gonna bust a move as long as I can and then I'll just carry on and you can hear a little bit of the chaos. I had a friend I was talking to yesterday and she was like, I just don't understand how all these people online are doing all these amazing things and the rest of us are just like getting by. And I realized like, oh, like I hope I'm not putting out too much like perfection because that's definitely not what's happening here. So maybe this video will just let you see a little bit behind the scenes of while I'm trying to grow in my discipline and level up a little bit as a mom. Obviously we have not arrived. None of us have arrived and nobody's house looks perfect ever, ever, ever. Even after I finish this home reset by Naptime Kitchen, some new area of my home will need attention and that's just the way it is. And so it's just a never ending process and it's a job that really doesn't have any edges. You know what I mean? There's no like finish line. And I heard a really good quote by James Clear and I'm not gonna quote it perfectly, but he was like, let's get out of this thinking in our heads for jobs that never end, like taking care of our health, our fitness journey, our, you know, motherhood journey. Like these journeys, they don't have an end. But like when we have like finite thinking for an infinite job, it really can lead to some frustration. And like, I really believe that building a home and building an environment and taking care of a home, it is a never ending job. And so while I might finish the home reset, by the time I finish it, the kitchen will probably need attention again. But it's still like really valuable work and my family benefits from it and my sanity certainly does too. So let's just get started today and I hope you feel more normal. So we kicked off the morning and Matt was so sweet. He made some protein pancakes, so like cottage cheese pancakes that I think some of them have chocolate chips in them. Are on the blog and they just have a ton of protein so you don't feel like that huge sugar spike unless you add a bunch of chocolate chips in them. And then so sweet for Valentine's Day, he went to buy like chocolate covered strawberries and he was like, it costs way too much. So he literally just went and bought some strawberries and then melted a bunch of chocolate on the stove and we did like chocolate, we dipped strawberries in chocolate this morning, but I need to clean it up because it's a mess. But we haven't had a dishwasher in like a year. We just need to buy one. We just keep putting it off and we're trying to save. So we're like, it just doesn't feel like a huge priority. But then again, I'm like, I've done a year experiment without a dishwasher and I do actually now think it would be helpful. So I think we're gonna get a dishwasher soon. But in the meantime, like I just need to put all these dishes away. And I think I'm gonna make another cup of coffee because this other one is running real low and I'm like at a 2-cup a day situation right now, being up through the night. I really think I feel best with 1 cup of coffee a day. But man, it is a slog for me. Like month 2 through month 8, I just feel like, whew. I actually did a video way back when on like how to quit coffee. And that's just like when I had got to like a crazy amount and just had to like detox and that felt so good. And I was off coffee for gosh, like a year. I felt so great. I would love to get back there, but I'm just like, right now, you know, just what it is, not sleeping a whole lot. That being said, let's make some coffee. I really like to do the French press. I like this little kettle where it just like you can choose the different temperature. I really like that a lot. I do not have my Berkey filled up with good filtered water, so it's nice because you can like choose the coffee setting. And then I just grind my own beans. I feel like it makes a really big difference. I like to do French press, but I think regardless of the coffee method, it makes such a difference to like grind your beans fresh. Unless you don't have it plugged up. Okay, as we start this video, I'm gonna layer in some questions that have come from the form that's down below in the description box, and as you can ask any question, and I'm just gonna layer these in like Q&As. Obviously, you know, I don't have it all figured out, just a mom of 6, so I can share what hasn't worked and what has worked for more like particular questions. I like these little silver guys for getting drinks. Like when the Berkey is filled up, it's nice to just have them like stacked by the Berkey. So this one comes from Christy, and it's how to balance budget and quality when it comes to groceries. For me, how I try to do that is I try to stay away from seed oils. I like to shop at Trader Joe's, Costco, and Aldi. I like to shop Aldi only with Instacart. And I don't know if you've heard of same day Costco. I like to do same day Costco when I can. But that's not the question you're asking. Quality and budget. I would say there's some things I buy organic, some things I don't. I don't shop a farmer's market at this point. I think obviously that's goals. Obviously it's goals to get like an animal processed. I think for me, the greatest piece of quality is making stuff from scratch as much as I can and trying not to eat out. I think that's how I'm trying to balance the budget and quality at this point in life. I can't always buy pasture-raised eggs at this point, and I can't always buy the highest quality of everything, but I think as long as I'm trying to stay away from seed oils, cook from scratch as much as I can, that's how I try to balance it. I had a mom email me and she was like, am I doing something wrong? Like my house is not as peaceful as yours seems to be on videos. Am I doing something wrong? And I'm like, no, like I don't think enough people realize that a lot of times we're, you know, as YouTubers, we're muting our home because it's just too loud and chaotic. And then sometimes I don't even really like to film while all of my kids are awake because it feels like overstimulation to me. I don't know, I guess maybe I haven't done a good job of showing what it's really like, but sometimes what it's really like is even overwhelming for me at times. So thinking about filming on top of that, you know, it's not fun. So getting to film sometimes when the house is more quiet, like the kids are outside or at sports or something like that, that's actually more relaxing for me and it feels like an outlet for me. But just so you know, it's not always like quiet like it is right now. So a lot of times that's why you do see YouTubers have everything muted and they're voicing over at another time. I don't think enough women at home realize that, and it maybe can make you feel bad about yourself when that's not the case at all. We're just trying to make it a better viewing experience for you because you probably listen to whining and crying and fighting all day long. Why would you want to listen to it in my home? Unless it just would make you feel more normal. I don't know, you can tell me down below, but I know sometimes my ears just need a relaxing break, and I think that's why sometimes as YouTubers we want to put on relaxing music and create a inviting experience for you. So just some thoughts. Okay, I got my water heated where I want it to be. My grounds, you want to do French press on like coarse grounds. You want them to be not fine. You don't want them to slip through the little filter that you have here. Have you heard of the book called Brew Better Coffee at Home? It's a good little like coffee table. Dun like little joke right there. I didn't even. It's a good little coffee book on how you can make all kinds of different coffees, and so I learned how to make French press from there. I don't know that I do it exactly the way that he says you should, but I do remember you're supposed to like swirl it around and then they kind of start to bloom on top, and then you put this on top. So it starts to bloom. It starts to like puff up and bloom a little bit. Put it there on top. And I'm just gonna leave it here for 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, you break the crust and stir it. I don't always do that. A lot of times I'm in a hurry and I just push it down. I just watched a video this morning. It was super fascinating. I said that we were gonna do a bunch of stuff. we're not doing it, I guess. I'm just sitting and chit-chatting. But it was these, they interviewed 5 centenarians. I think I'm saying that right. They were over 100 years old. It was so fascinating. I love to watch wisdom. I love to watch people giving their life experience. And it was 1 gentleman and 4 women. So fascinating. I feel like what I gleaned was relationships are so important. Almost all of them had like really strong marriages. They missed their spouses so very, very much. But all of them were like staying super active. The old man said, don't let the old man in. You know, he was really he rode his bike 15 minutes a day, not outside, but like a stationary bike. He was still driving. So wild. So I think what it just reminded me of is the relationships I have in this home. They're what make life so sweet and so special. There's a book called The Good Life, and they followed a group of people. It's like the longest study they've ever done, just following a good group of people. And at the end of their life, all of them said relationships are what made life meaningful, made life full. The people that had good relationships lived longer, had better health. And so just like a good reminder, even like on Valentine's Day, you know, me being grateful for my marriage, even though it's certainly not perfect, for the kids that fill this home, and that really is what makes the good life. Of course, for me, being a Christ follower, Jesus ultimately gives meaning to my life. But even, you know, even in the book, The Good Life, there were people who really loved the Lord, but if they had like negative thinking or they didn't have great relationships, it really put a strain on their quality of life. And so I think just because we're a Christian doesn't mean that we're always prioritizing what we ought to. And so it's just a really good reminder that, one, I need to take care of my health and keep moving, but also to not take for granted the marriage I have, and to try to make it as good as it can be. You know, Matt and I often say we have one shot at this great love. You know, it's just a momentary marriage just for this lifetime, and nobody can do it for us but us. You know, forgiveness, not growing bitter with disappointments and things like that. So just to encourage you, if you have a marriage, just trying to make it the one great love, and life's too short to hold on to all these moments of unforgiveness and bitterness. So Matt and the kids got me some flowers, but we need to like trim them down. They're too, a little bit, I don't know, I think maybe these things need to be stripped down a little bit. Okay, the next question is, if you could pick 5 things to invest your time, energy, and money into your family's health, what would it be? Okay, the first thing would be getting some education on board, reading a good health book, taking a course. Like I'm taking a fermentation course right now, continually up-leveling your skills to feed a family and to understand the why of why we're making healthy choices. The second thing, clean air, clean water, like a Berkey, Air Doctor, you know, but more than that, honestly, just removing fragrances and harsh like chemicals from your home, because that dirties up the air in your home. 3, I'd say invest in things to help you get outside, some more outdoor toys, better jackets and stuff like that. The sun has so much goodness to give to our body, and we need that desperately. So things to draw us outside. 4, like some supplements, some quality ones. I like Just Ingredients and Perfect supplements. And 5, I would say we bridge in the gap with a lot of protein powder, like clean Just Ingredients protein powder, and raw milk. We do a lot of smoothies. That is like a quick thing I make multiple times a week, and I'm happy to pay a little bit more for the protein powder because it's going to keep the kids full longer. Okay, so Christy goes on with her question, and she says, it's difficult to navigate where to focus my energy in that area. Also, same question about body care products for the family. And what are your staple foods you consistently have in your fridge or pantry, and why? Okay, my staple body care products for the family, we do like Dr. Brommer's soap. Don't use a whole lot of soap. Like we don't lather up our bodies with soap. I think that kind of disrupts just the microbiome on your skin and things like that. I'm really focused on like my makeup. I use Toops & Co. foundation and concealer, and then I just go to Sephora for like a couple of the other things, and I just ask for the clean brand. So makeup is pretty important to me. But then for moisturizer, we use a lot of tallow. I also use a lot of Toops & Co. tallow. They get their tallow from a certain part of the cow's body, so it has a lot more like minerals in it. I try to use fairly clean wipes. You know, I don't want to be putting a lot of like fragrances on special body parts and things like that for the kids. Had ordered Every Life diapers for the past 2 years because they're good, clean, non-toxic diapers. They get delivered to your house. Right now with this buddy, I'm just using whatever diapers people have given me, but I generally try to not get the best of the best diapers, but slightly better. And for taking care of my face, I use some Tubes & Co products. I like this vitamin C serum, and I love the cleansing oil to take off my makeup. Like, that's literally all I use at night. I don't need to use anything special to take off my eye makeup. I just wash my face in the shower with the cleansing oil and then like a hot rag, and that gets all my makeup off without it being really harsh on my skin. I was very acne prone my whole life, and so I was very scared of oil, but actually just taking care of my skin has been like not stripping the oils away, and then just trying to take probiotics to also help my skin and things like that. So, but that's where I'm also trying to learn with the fermentation course. And then I really don't put a whole lot of stuff on my kids' skin. I use a ton of coconut oil for like tons of ailments, and then I use a lot of colloidal silver spraying on and things like that. So we try to be pretty clean. I guess as some moms would categorize crunchy. I'm sure I have a lot to learn in those areas as well. And then also with like any kind of feminine care products, I try to stay away from stuff with latex. I'm actually allergic to latex, but anything with like organic cottons, as like it's right there by your body. So yeah, those are the things that I try to do for body care products. Okay, I'm in the homeschool room and I'm gonna show you all the stuff. I got the girls a Valentine's Day pack that they could just make like their own little cards, and so they started doing that this morning. And then my dad got my son this like little engine that he put together. And my dad thought it would take him like a week to put together, and my son just loved it so much. It took him like a day. He got kind of frustrated with himself a couple of times, like some fits and false starts. Like, I'm done with this. I messed up. I'm not done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm like, just take a break. Just take a break. And then he came back to it. So he was really proud of himself when he finally finished it. And that was cool. That was really nice of my dad. This area needs some love. So I cleaned up this area back here a little bit last week, but I still need to go into these little, this is like a dresser that I redid right here. And a lot of these are just full of craziness. And all the games need to be reorganized up there. That's kind of chaos too. And like, I don't love how we've just glued or taped things to the wall, but I don't know. It is what it is, right? It's a schoolroom, not perfection. So this room used to be like our family room. We used to host community group in this room, and we kind of realized that we don't like this room as much as we like our front room. The like paneled room that when you just come in, it's like we put the cozy couch there. Just like giving ourselves permission to kind of like, you know, make your home what it needs to be. And we realized we would far rather be in that room than this room. This room doesn't, I feel like it could be amped up in coziness, but it's just not there. So we kind of just turned it into like the playroom. And then I took the kids' little like table my mom had got them way back here and just moved it up here. So we'll see. But this part of the house kind of stays trashed, to be honest. And I have a pocket door that I can just slide and kind of just forget about this side of the house, which is a blessing, except for this is our dining room table where we should be eating meals. And probably need like that wall blown out, but it's just not gonna happen. So I really have to keep this homeschool stuff organized, or we don't sit down and eat meals. We just like kind of eat standing up in the kitchen because our kitchen island chairs broke and we need to get new ones of those. So it's kind of like some system breakdown right now, but I'm gonna start cleaning up this homeschool space and purging stuff that I just don't need. I also have a homeschool closet I'm not utilizing, so I might pull everything out of there and might just do like a homeschool room refresh. I already did the kitchen, like I said, for home reset, but I'm thinking this space needs it. And she doesn't have like a section for homeschool, you know, she doesn't homeschool her kids, Naptime kitchen. So there's not really anything for that, but she's really big about real estate. Like the front part of the easy accessible places should be the stuff that you use every single day. And so I kind of need to like rethink that a little bit. And I think honestly, if I had an armoire over here, like if I had a big chest right here that like opened, that I could almost like act as a closet, that would be optimal, because right now I had to take over a toiletry closet as my homeschool space, and it's really just not working because it's not like right here. So That's something I'm going to be on the lookout for, like on Facebook Marketplace or something. Just an old armoire thing I can open up and probably put a lock on so that my free-spirited kids, the ones that love to be independent, won't just rip everything out. So I'm just gonna get started on this and just turn on an audiobook and work while I have a minute. And the staple foods I always have in my pantry, I love to have like a whole milk Greek yogurt. We buy a lot of that, and then frozen berries and a little bit of maple syrup, and then flavor it myself. And that's how I make my yogurt. I don't buy the like flavored yogurts at all, I just buy the plain. I always have a ton of just ingredients. Protein powder, we like the chocolate banana, we like the French vanilla a ton. I actually tried their banana bread one, it was pretty good, but they don't use like any artificial flavors or sweeteners or colorings at all. Like everything is from real dried fruit or food to give it flavor or color. So we use a lot of that. We go to a farm to get raw milk. I found a place that I can get it for like $5 a gallon, so we try to go and get like 4 or 5 gallons a week. And then we will buy a ton of eggs, a ton. We do eggs almost every single morning. I'd say the only thing I probably buy that has seed oils in it is tortillas. I'd really like to make my own tortillas without seed oils. I have not gotten to that point yet, but we buy tortillas. We always buy big blocks of cheddar cheese to make like wraps and things like that. Like in a pinch, that's a very easy thing that we whip up. Like I said, we do a lot of smoothies. We do a lot of bananas. We freeze a ton of bananas. I actually have a recipe on the website with the smoothie that we do all the time. It has a ton of protein, like 25 grams or 20, yeah, I think it's 25 grams a serving by the time you put the milk with the protein powder. So that's something we do all the time. And then we just try and buy a fair amount of meat, and we do a ton of soup, a lot of bone broth, a lot of chicken broth. And I just started making like beef stew, lots of soups, because that repairs your gut lining, which is just critical for your health. So we do a lot of broths and soups. Okay, this last question comes from Emily. It says, I have the desire to cook nourishing food for my family, but we are working to pay off debt and are about to have our second baby in a few weeks. Both trying to lose weight, have a tight budget, and are picky eaters. So I feel challenged by it all. I was raised on home-cooked, nourishing meals, yet I feel lost. I'm not quite a beginner, I'd say, but I'm far, far from being where I want to be. Would you be willing to share where you started, or where you recommend starting practically? Do you meal plan? How do you build up a pantry? What recipes? What methods? She said, anytime you sprinkle it in throughout videos and blogs, I take note, but I'd love to have it all in one place. Okay, this is great for like a whole video. So Emily, I think I'll make a whole video for you on this. What I can just share in the last couple of minutes. I think it's tough when you're trying to do a lot of things at one time. I would say just like, let's focus on cooking nourishing food first and foremost, because when we're thinking about picky eating, when we're thinking about feeding our family on a budget, when we're thinking about losing weight, I think cooking nourishing meals, when you focus on that, a lot of things happen. So let me share what I mean by that. So where I started, oh goodness gracious, it was bad. I didn't really start cooking until I got married, and I cooked a little before that, didn't follow recipes, which was a mistake as a beginner. Like the stuff I would make, my roommates were like, that looks inedible. I started with like a Pampered Chef cookbook, I think, and started making recipes out of that. Then when I moved to California, we didn't have a lot of money. My husband was in school for physical therapy school. I picked up a Gwyneth Paltrow cookbook, really leaned into like eating vegetarian during that time. I had watched Forks Over Knives, and so focused on vegetarian. I am not a vegetarian anymore, and my blood work was like, you can no longer be a vegetarian. I didn't do vegetarian well, like lots of lentils and things. I think the most nourishing thing we do is soups. That's actually the thing I'm making upstairs right now, is we do a lot of soups. The reason why I say soups from homemade broth is that it has a ton of collagen, like gelatinous collagen in it, which is so important for our joints, but also really important for a leaky gut. And a lot of people have leaky gut. I really believe that it has the structures, like almost like the construction materials to go in and repair a lot of leaky gut issues. And I think that broths have been used as medicinal purposes and the base of meals for forever. And you can use bones to make broth, or you can use meat to make broth. A lot of times I'm either boiling, like upstairs I was boiling some like chicken drumsticks, like a cheap family pack from Trader Joe's, in water, and that made the chicken broth for the chicken noodle soup. Or I will say, I always save the bones in a big Ziploc bag. I just keep adding them until that Ziploc bag is full, and then I'll put them in the Instapot and I will make a bone broth, which is the base. It's a great base for like taco soups, something where you're going to add a lot of seasonings to, and you can't just taste the the pure broth. So I would focus on soups. I think soups are super, super nourishing. Also, we like raw milk. I know it's not for everybody. And then I would say, as far as the picky eating, when you do the soups, you know, just like asking them to take a bite, and then if you could start to learn to make some sourdough bread, some fermented bread, then they can dip the soup in the broth. That's pretty yummy. My kids love to do that. But also we just do a lot of like sheet pan chicken and veggies, or cutting up potatoes, like sweet potatoes, and making fries out of those, just baking them. But staying away from seed oils has been my number one priority. And then I'd say just cooking from scratch best you can, just looking up recipes that look good, that taste good, and getting a quality salt. I'd say those are like my top tips in a like 5-minute little spurt. But I'll make a whole video on this soon, because I think you have some really great questions in here that I want to like take more time to address. So thanks for tuning in for this video. Thanks for just decluttering homeschool spaces with me. It's always a work in progress. Naptime kitchen for a home reset. It's really like a quality small little course that you can just listen to audio wise. I've really enjoyed it. And make sure to leave your questions down below in the form, and I'll see you again in the next video.
It's so unnecessary dwelling about the past, 'cause I know that God is good. He led me to where I'm at. Sometimes I feel like giving up, you're giving in, but everything happens for a reason. It won't always be blue skies ahead. Sometimes you might need a helping hand, just like I am. Sharpens iron, making me stronger, calling me higher. When we come together, just like I am. Sharpens iron, making us stronger, calling us higher. When we're helping each other.